One hen, two ducks, three squawking geese, four limerick ducks,
oysters,
limerick oysters, five corpulent porpoises, and six of Dr. Alvaro's sunglasses.
Sunglasses, yes, I love it. That should be it from now on. Dr. Alvaro's.
Welcome to Cinema Double Shot, our podcast where we talk about all things film, filmmaking, and life in general. And I'm Wallace McKelvey. I'm a journalist and filmmaker, among many other things. And today I'm with Lisa Lutton Weitzman, who I've known for quite a long time.
That's right. That's right.
Fabulous actor and educator who teaches acting and theater arts and an improviser. And I'm sure I'm missing.
That sounds so sweet. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I'm with Wallace McKelvey, director extraordinaire, and journalist, and all that other stuff. Yeah.
So we're here to talk about acting.
Okay.
Takes a sip.
Takes a sip. Yeah, I'll take a sip too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. How long? I've full disclosure, I've known Lisa for like about 8-ish years.
I think so.
And I originally got to know you first through improv, and then we made movies together, and then onward from there. But how long have you been acting?
Since I was in my first play as an adult when I was 28, so I was not a kid. I didn't get into it in my teenage years.
You didn't have a stage mom?
I did not have a stage mom. I was an art kid. That was my personal identity. I was into art. The idea of being on stage was terrifying to me, although it was in the back of my mind for a long time. So I became an art teacher, and as an art teacher, you have to get more credits after you graduate. I don't know if that's still the case. Like I was temporarily certified, and I had to get 24 more credits to be permanently certified. So the last 3 credits that I had to take, I thought I got nothing to lose. I'll take an acting class. And then I decided I really liked it and wanted to keep doing it. And like I said, I wasn't in my first play till I was 28. And then I was laid off from my teaching job, and I went back to school. I went to Villanova and studied acting. And that's when I started.
Yeah.
So I was like a grown-up.
Well, it goes to show you, like, there are so many people who think that, oh, well, just because I didn't do this, just because I didn't have this, I can't do the thing.
Right. Yes.
I think about myself, and not to say I'm by no means like an artiste. I'm a journey person, but...
Well, you're getting there, Wallace.
I'm a journey person who's getting there.
Yeah.
But, like for me...
Well, me too. Anyway, go ahead.
The thought certainly crossed my mind when I was a kid that I wanted to go to film school. Mm-hmm. But coming from where I came from, like I knew I wasn't going to get scholarships for film school, and I knew I couldn't count on my parents to even help a little bit with my education. So journalism was like, I loved writing. Yeah. I loved writing, and that was one thing that I was able to get scholarships for.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I didn't go to film school.
Yeah.
I followed a different path.
You got scholarships. Yeah.
So it sounds like you had a similar kind of entree.
I knew, again, there were 6 kids in my family. Father was a firefighter. I wasn't going to take their money to go to college and become an artist, because I knew artists starve. So I got an education. It was an art ed degree, and I became an art teacher. That was my first career.
Yeah. I mean, that was a similar thought for me. Yeah, even at that young age, deciding what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I was like, I would love to be Hitchcock, but am I in a place where I can afford film school? And then on the other side of film school, because I know lots of people who went to film school, who even went out to California and tried to make it, and then it's years and years and years of struggle as like a production assistant, as the lowest rung on a film set.
Yeah.
And they grind their gears for all that time, not creating anything of their own.
And here you are, you're not in Hollywood, but you're creating a lot of stuff. You are a busy man.
I am. And so are you.
Yeah.
Not a man.
I'm a busy
person.
She, her. Not that it's relevant.
I feel that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is nice to have a roof over your head. It is nice to have security.
Yeah.
When I taught at the Arts Magnet School, I really walked that tightrope between getting them excited and knowing the reality and the chances and the odds of them actually making it in Hollywood.
Well, yeah, and you taught high school theater classes for years and years.
Yeah.
Well, how did you balance that? Like, on one hand, not wanting to crush anyone's dreams.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, being realistic about what this life is like for people.
Mm-hmm. How did I balance it? And I changed over the years. I got more pragmatic over the years. And I would also, I talk about it being an avocation and something you can always do and get together with your friends, because film and making films was also, arising and getting more and more popular, and doing it because you loved it. I really did struggle when kids were applying to, kids apply to Juilliard and NYU and these very, very expensive colleges. And there were times if they were not really, really, really good, they didn't get into NYU or Juilliard. But it was a struggle.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite students, he came back, a lovely guy to talk to. Well, a lot of my students actually came back to talk to my current classes, which was great. And he said, I'm $200,000 in debt. He was doing costume design. He ended up, I want to say Boston, and then it might have been Yale or Harvard or something really super expensive. But I thought, oh my God, unless he makes it big time like Bob Mackie or something in costume design, that's going to be really, really, really hard paying that back.
Yeah. And that's like a lifelong just boulder on your back.
Yeah.
I thought that it's funny, last week I talked to Paul Hood about, biographies and reading like August Wilson's biography and Nina Simone's biography. Another biography that I read recently in the last couple of years was Viola Davis.
Oh, okay.
The fabulous Oscar-winning actor who's been in so many great things like Doubt and Fences. I thought she did a good job of discussing the actor's life and had a really a nuanced perspective on it, where she right from the top said, I am where I am because I had a bunch of lucky breaks that compounded the hard work that I was putting in. You have to put in the hard work, but the hard work alone doesn't get you where you want to be all the time.
That was,
And she noted, she actually broke down in very practical financial terms,
good for her.
The fact that, roughly less than 1% of everyone who's represented by the Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA, less than 1% of them make enough money to get their health benefits through the union. And she noted, where I'm at today, number one, that wasn't where she began. She began doing a lot of really small bit parts for years and years and years, like walk-ons and playing.
She talking on stage and in film?
TV. Initially, she was in theater. Then she kind of moved into the TV world, and then started getting film roles. But it was years of struggle where she was not. She was like in the far deep background, which of course there are shades of racism and colorism and even body image stuff because she was a somewhat larger framed black woman. You know, and that was. She didn't really get her first big breaks until the late 90s. And even then, you know, she was in Steven Soderbergh's movie Out of Sight, where she played a somewhat stereotypical role, the wife of a drug dealer. And on the page, it's a somewhat shallow character, but she was able, with Steven Soderbergh, to make that a deeper character. Cool. And she ended up, like, expanding the role to have several lines, and she started to get noticed, and Soderbergh cast her again in his version of Solaris, and you know, over many years until she finally got her big break with a very small but pivotal scene in John Patrick Shanley, his film version of the play Doubt, where she like really goes. Like that is one of her most memorable roles. But even then, she wasn't making a lot of money. The money didn't come until even further, several years down the road. Okay. You know, so it's really tough to make it in this business. Yeah, yeah. And you think about it. You think about the numbers that, you know, less than 1% of people who even qualify for the union are making a living wage at it. Yeah, yeah. I never jumped in that pot. I just didn't. I knew it would always be like a side gig for me. Yeah. And I've had a lot of fun. I mean, I won't say I didn't dream, go to like dime stores, wait, the counter, who everybody gets discovered at a counter drinking an egg cream or something, you know? Yeah, no, I cruised all that. No, I didn't. That Hollywood fiction. You're noticed.
Of being discovered.
You're noticed at the soda fountain.
Yes, the soda fountain. Yeah. Jeez. But I've had some really wonderful experiences. I experienced a lot of stage fright in the beginning. I think I did go into acting, number one, because I love the idea of different characters, just living different people's lives. And I guess there certainly has to be some kind of attention craving, seeking. You want people to see you. I used to think, well, I was one of 6, and I had 2 older sisters who were very talkative, and I was actually the quiet one of the family. So when friends heard I went into... I can
actually believe that.
Can you really? Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, and friends said, you went into... I would have imagined, Patty or Linda, but not you. Okay, whatever. And I think maybe because then people had to listen to me then. If I was on stage, well, they could fall asleep, which I'm sure has happened. But, at the dinner table with all these kids, and I wasn't one that was talking a lot. But couldn't break into the mayhem.
I think the best actors, though, acting is just as much about listening as it is about...
It's supposed to be.
Responding.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
yes.
There's plenty of bad actors
yes.
in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're... Ideally, when you're, regardless of what the format is, whether it's theater or film, you are there in concert with what the other actors around you.
Absolutely. That's like number one acting lesson. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what is
improv too? Number one improv. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the one thing I tell a lot of when I'm filming something is like, I might let you go on in the scene once you've gone past the words written on the script, just to see where it goes. See where this character's going.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if you're not if you're not in it, if you're not paying attention, if you're not listening to what your scene partners are putting out there and observing them, you're not really in character.
Right.
You're just reciting lines.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing we teach right off the bat is figure out what your character really, really wants, what they are fighting for. You want to put it in high stakes terms. What are you fighting for? Some people call it the essential action, you know, what you are fighting to get this person to love you, or you are fighting to get the other. It's like focused on what do you want from the other, trying to get them to forgive me.
Yeah.
And then the different ways that you do that, we call them tactics. Some people call them other things. You know, you try different ways. You threaten them, or you bribe them, or you know, all those different headings. I have like a piece of paper that has in small print, I don't know, 500 different tactics in alphabetical order that I pass out to my students.
Yeah, and the idea is like you're giving them the basics.
Yes.
Here's the tools that are at your disposal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then the better they get, the less you see the tactics on screen.
Okay.
Right?
Well, the less you see them on screen,
when it's
you mean tactic, it's more subtle? The tactics are more subtle. Okay,
yeah. Like when someone's starting out, it can be kind of obvious when they're using one tool or another.
Right.
To try to get their characterization.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, well, and then we get into, you know, truthful acting. And you want to, first we kind of start with exercises where they behave truthfully as themselves. You know, imagine you're in this haunted house. What do you see? What do you hear? You know, what do you feel? Whatever. And it's you reacting, getting them to react honestly how they would react. And then we get into, well, okay, now you're playing a character. You still have to behave believably, honestly, but as that character. Maybe that character would slide down the wall in tears and put something over their head, is where maybe you would scream. You know, it's that whole, what's the phrase, behaving honestly in imaginary circumstances.
Yeah.
Or acting believably in imaginary circumstances. Did I answer the question?
No,
Was there a question?
No, it's just a conversation.
Just a conversation. I can do that. I can do that.
In improv comedy, which is where we initially met, I think that the same idea is establishing the base reality.
Yes,
right?
They're the same. Acting and improv.
It's just different vocabulary.
It's different vocabulary, but the basics are all the same.
Yeah.
You don't have a script with improv. So you're making it up, which is pretty exciting, sometimes terrifying. And I guess that at this point in my life, that's what I'm drawn to more. Acting in a play is a lot of work. You got to go to rehearsals. You have to do all that stuff. You have to get in your car late at night when it's cold and I'm wanting to do that. Yeah.
I mean, I know a bunch of people who are involved in various stage productions right now in Harrisburg.
It takes over your life.
There's the Frankenstein one. There's the Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Yes. Yeah.
And people are in tech rehearsal week for at least for Hedwig, and it is
hour upon hour upon hour, because it takes a lot of work to make magic.
Yes,
magic doesn't just happen. It's a lot of work. And I think that's something that really young actors, it takes them a while to learn that. And that's when, I'm thinking of grade school up through high school. That's when people will fall by the wayside because they're like, okay, this is way more work than I'm really willing to commit. Mm-hmm. So people that stay with it must really like it.
And you even in the context of what we've done together.
Yes.
Like this, there's the individual short films that we've done,
right.
Which each of them is their own discrete thing.
Yes.
Usually a really tight timeline because most of them have been vid jams.
Right.
So you don't have a lot of time
We don't have a lot of
rehearsal
time,
and all that stuff.
which is its own kind of anxiety.
Yeah.
More for you than me.
We're dancing on the tip of a knife with these 48-hour film
Mm-hmm.
competitions. But I also think there's a continuity across them
Mm-hmm.
because I tend to work with the same people.
Excuse me.
I
am
switch it
lucky.
up.
I am lucky to have been in a bunch.
But you kind of build up this muscle of trust.
True.
When you have a company like that.
Absolutely. And you think of a lot of the big Hollywood directors, Wes Anderson works with a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
Sorry, I scratched. Yeah, that's the only one I can think of right now, but I'm sure you can think of a whole bunch.
Oh yeah, I mean there's tons.
Yeah.
I think about Yasujiro Ozu, my god, my filmmaking idol. Worked with the same group of worked with the same group of actors through much of his career, the last 3 decades.
Because it's a collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
It truly is. And well, you want to learn new people. Once you get a core and you get ideas and those people will fill your ideas in the way you want them to, it's like, yeah.
And there are some conversations that once you've had it once or twice, you no longer have to have that conversation.
Yeah.
You get to have other new conversations, and you get to learn and you get to grow and try out new things and take new risks and learn from them. So one thing is, I don't see it as much at my level. I've only ever worked with one method actor, which was a really fun, interesting experience.
That's a word. That's like an umbrella word
it's
that
an umbrella
means
term.
different things to different people.
And then depending on who you are and how much you know about that, you can do different things with it.
I think define it like nowadays when people say method. How would you define it?
Well, the biggest thing I think of, and there are these like 2 main competing branches of it, right? Which I'm going to leave it to you.
Well,
to flesh that out.
Again, that method means different things to different people.
But I think the big umbrella term for what is method acting is the idea that you pull from your own experiences and you try to refer back to your sense memory. In some cases, the ethics of it for me are a little squicky.
See, that was the split. Yeah. That was the reason for
the ethics are kind of squicky because some is in one branch of the school you're encouraged to recall past traumas as an actor and use those past traumas. This is a simplistic example, but if you have to cry on cue, maybe before you're in front of the camera or before you go on stage, you think about that time you were next to grandma as she was dying, and that you use that emotional memory to try to map it onto the scene that you're depicting.
It can be very effective, without a doubt. It can also be, like you said, a little harmful. And I don't know how much history. Konstantin, you can always cut this out. Konstantin Stanislavski, Russian guy, late 1800s into the early 1900s. Great, fantastic acting teacher, director. He kind of transformed the art of acting. But he was evolving as he was teaching. He changed ways, and he did like sense memory and emotional memory. And 2 of his students, I think they were direct students, they may have been indirect, were Sanford Meisner and Lee Strasberg. And the lore goes, Sanford Meisner said, "This is not psychologically healthy." The whole drawing from your own self. Lee Strasberg took it and ran with it and started the Actors Studio and all that. After Lee Strasberg left, finished studying with Stanislavski, Stanislavski continued to evolve his education, his own personal, how he taught, and kind of said, this emotional memory thing can be harmful. And he got more away from it. There's another lore story with Michael Chekhov, who is the nephew of Anton Chekhov. If your eyes start to close, I'll know him. Okay. He was a student of Stanislavski, and apparently he did this brilliant scene. And Stanislavski said, wow, what were you using? And he said, the memory of my father's death. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. When did your father die? And Michael Chekhov said, oh, he didn't. I was just imagining it. So that was supposedly, and again, who knows how true these stories are, that was like a light bulb moment for Stanislavski. Oh, if we really, really, really work our imagination and ask ourselves, what do we see, what do we smell, what do we sense, what do we feel, what am I missing here? Yeah, the 5 senses. Maybe you don't need to ravage your, go back to really harmful things. Because if you're in a play, you're doing it 8 times a week.
That is a lot of trauma that you're inflicting on yourself.
And actually, you grow numb and it starts to not work. Yeah. So you need to find tools that will work.
Even on a film set, if you're having to do 5, 6, takes. 10. If you're working with David Fincher, possibly 100 takes of a scene.
You dry out your eyes. You have nothing more to cry. Yeah.
If you're calling upon some past trauma to lean on that, to get the emotion from it, you're probably doing some real damage to your psyche in the process of that. There's this famous, I don't know how apocryphal it is, but Olivia was one of those like old school actors where you're like, he was
his diction was perfect. He knew how to sword fight.
Yeah, he was very much, he found all of the method acting schools somewhat suspect. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was the
with
movie.
Dustin Hoffman?
Yes. And he was...
Marathon Man.
Yeah. And he was like, they had this conversation. Younger actor, Dustin Hoffman. Yeah. Older actor, Laurence Olivier. And Dustin was struggling with a scene. At least this is the way the lore goes. And Olivier very dryly said, it's called acting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you tried acting?
Yes. Can I add to that?
Yes.
I guess, because he was a marathon runner. I guess he ran all night or so. Again, this is...
That's right, yes.
He ran all night, came in sweaty, exhausted.
Dustin Hoffman, in preparation for the scene,
because he was doing method.
Like, ran all night and, like, didn't sleep.
Yes, and that's when he said, why don't you just act, my dear boy, or something. Yes. Oh, my God. There was... like a little YouTube video going around between Ricky Gervais and Gandalf. What's Gandalf's name?
Oh, Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen. And they're sitting across a table, and Ricky Gervais is very seriously asking him, like, tell me the secrets, your secrets of acting. And Ian McKellen says, well, leans into the table. You get the role. You get the script. You memorize the lines. And then you pretend. And he says, like I pretended I was this magician. And Ricky Gervais's face is just like, okay. It's very funny. You have to be there. And then you pretend.
But the old school of like Shakespearean acting, a lot of those folks look down their noses at the method people.
Right.
Yeah.
But the method people will look down their noses at them because they say they don't look believable. They don't look real, sincere. They look like they are acting.
Which is funny because I've also heard the criticism, and I know, like, especially in the 1950s, as much as people love Brando and, and Montgomery Clift and...
The Mumblers?
The Mumblers.
Yeah.
But there's also like the explosive emotions that Marlon Brando was known for on set. Is kind of the look, Ma, I'm acting school of acting.
Okay.
You know, where it's just like big shows of emotion that for me, I sometimes find that suspect.
Okay.
I personally, I can respect the game. I respect what they're doing. But there are times in some of those, especially the Elia Kazan movies from the 50s, where I'm like, this does not feel recognizably human to me.
Okay.
I've not encountered this in the wild.
The arts, that's what makes the arts so interesting and subjective.
Yeah.
You know, it's not different strokes for different folks kind of thing.
Yeah. So when you're acting,
yes.
What tools do you find yourself using? You know, do you weave in some of Meisner into?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a grab bag. It's a little from here, a little from there, depending on the part. And of course, you got to go back. What am I fighting for? What do I want? You can't forget that, because that's the thing that drives you. That keeps you from worrying about stupid stuff like, how should I hold my hands? You know?
Yeah.
And how would I do this? Don't worry about how you would do that. Know what you're fighting for, and then go for that. Go from that basis, that bottom line kind of thing. And so I'll go through the script. What am I fighting for? What's my essential action? And then during rehearsal, you figure out different tactics. You kind of leave that loose, so that when you're with your partner, you don't want to. And another thing, you want to memorize lines like flat, robotic. They call it by rote, because you want to be open to any emotion when you actually get there and work with your partner.
Yeah.
You know, so you are open. It wouldn't make sense if we're having this serious, tense discussion for me to suddenly start shouting at you. You know what I mean? You got to find the mood of the scene, the mood of the...
Yeah.
Unless it was motivated by something. Yeah.
So if you go through and you memorize your lines with a certain interpretation, do you find it more difficult to pull the lines without the extra sauce?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why you want to do it. And it's hard to do it robotic-like. It really is.
Yeah.
Because so many of them lend themselves to something, but then your body, you create muscle memory, your body remembers doing it that way, and it'll do it that way even if it's not motivated by your partner. You know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any favorite performances that kind of illustrate these different schools? The older school, it's acting, form of acting, versus the putting yourself into these roles?
Oh, gosh, that's a tough question. I mean, there'll be times when I'm like, whoa, that was a really wonderful piece of acting. That was just a wonderful, crisp, clear moment. And a lot of them are times when actors are not talking, when they are just reacting. I mean, I love Meryl Streep. Everybody loves Meryl Streep. Well, maybe not everybody. I actually had an acting teacher who did not like her. Said she was too fussy. Yeah. I mean... That
feels willfully contrarian to me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I get it. Not everything Meryl Streep does is like the best. But...
And again, it's all subjective. Good. Oh, she's really good. She's so good. She's so good. I told you I just saw A Complete Unknown, Timothée Chalamet did an awesome job.
And I wonder about that with him. I haven't looked at the interviews, so I don't know exactly what his process was.
I don't either.
Whether he was taking from Meisner, or whether he considers it method. or whether he was just carefully studying the kind of the intonation, the performance, the tone of voice, the way
whether
Bob
he was
Dylan carried
working
himself.
hard at imitating.
How much of that was like him internalizing the mimicry versus how much was him internalizing the emotional experience.
That would be like a double whammy. I mean, you got to work at that.
I suspect it's a little bit of both, because he does nail some of the body language that Bob Dylan used.
Definitely.
But it's also not a pure mimic either.
Right.
You know, because there's lots of...
It probably shouldn't be for the sake of the overall film.
Yeah.
You're making a film mostly to entertain and draw people in. Emma Stone in Poor Things.
Yes.
She was fantastic.
Yeah.
She was so good. I mean, and she got to like run the gamut in terms of, she played a repressed grown woman for a hot second in the beginning, and then again at the end, and then this woman who was a grown woman with the brain of an infant, and just the way she was walking and working with things, food and props and doing inappropriate things.
The level of difficulty in that performance, because most films, the characters, at least the main characters, will have an arc. Something will change over the course of the performance.
Yeah. Hers changed dramatically.
She has multiple arcs.
Yes.
Multiple things are changing. Her physicality is changing because you're getting to watch someone go from, technically speaking, age 0 to young adulthood.
Yeah.
Because you're watching this young woman's development at an accelerated pace. But also, she's learning about the world. She's learning about her body. She's learning about, literature and having... Yeah. There's multiple moving parts to that performance.
And social norms, what's appropriate, what's inappropriate, because she does some wildly inappropriate things. She was wonderful in that. I love that movie. And so was it Mark Ruffalo? Who was the...
Mark Ruffalo played the cad.
Yes.
Who whisks her away on a Portuguese around the world sea trip.
And I would say he was over the top in a good way.
Yeah.
Because, the movie itself, the sets, the colors, everything was over the top. So he was too. They all kind of were... and Willem Dafoe was so...
I love Willem Dafoe in everything.
Dear, and your heart goes out to him.
Last year, Nosferatu, he played...
Did not see that.
He was very good in Nosferatu. The movie as a whole I didn't love, but I loved him in it.
This is... Can I tell you another thing that you'll have to cut out? Apparently this is a true story about Willem Dafoe. I don't know when it was, what younger, he had to do a nude shot. And apparently his member was outrageously large, so they had to bring in a stunt penis. They just said, this is way too distracting. So I think it's true. If it's not, should we just start that rumor?
I have heard the same thing.
You've heard the same thing?
I've heard the same thing about his member.
Okay.
I don't remember what movie it was.
Yeah.
They had to bring in a stunt penis.
Yeah.
Because it was too large.
And he's a wiry. He's not a big man. He's a wiry fellow. Anyway, I just thought.
Welcome to Cinema Double Shot After Dark. This is the Skinamax podcast. I usually do intercutting on the video side of it.
Okay.
With little a movie poster or a film still to illustrate. I won't be illustrating Willem Dafoe's penis.
Yeah. That might open you up to a few lawsuits or something.
Or like strikes for graphic material.
Yeah.
A movie that another example that I just thought of two schools of acting coming colliding together is the Misfits. Have you seen the Misfits?
Like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's got Marilyn Monroe
and Clark Gable.
Clark Gable, as these two.
It was her last film, wasn't it?
It was her last film. Yeah. And she was really heavy into the method acting. Like she was a student.
She was a student of Strasberg.
I believe Strasberg. Yeah. So she was applying some of those lessons from Strasberg and from the method to her performance,
and
which I suspect is part of the reason why there were all these stories about her being somewhat unreliable on sets, where she would show up late, or she would show up and she would be emotional. And
so her character, she was playing her character all the time?
I don't know that that's entirely true, but that's the story, is that she really delved deeply into these characters.
Okay,
and
now I have to
really acutely
watch it. I want to watch it.
And then, of course, you've got Clark Gable, who is of the old school of it's just acting.
Yeah.
Like, Clark Gable is a really good actor, but he mostly plays a version of himself.
Of himself,
quote unquote. Like, he's very often some variation of his own star persona. And that's really what Hollywood asked for in those early days.
Yeah.
They would find out what your persona was, and then they would give you roles that played to your strengths. And over time it would just become muscle memory, and you wouldn't, not
challenging or exciting for the actor.
You wouldn't diverge very far from those kind of themes. And
do you think, because movies, I mean, the newness of movies that long ago, well, not real new with Clark Gable, but the audiences expected what they saw. They sort of didn't allow people to, I mean, how much was the audiences didn't allow people to play other types of characters, and the studio system, the directors?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, right?
I had a friend. Okay, so we were talking about Jennifer Lawrence, and was it American Hustle?
Yeah.
She played that goofy wife with the blonde hair who stuck tinfoil in the microwave. I thought she was great. And my friend, who had seen her in all the Hunger Games things, she was terribly miscast. And I was like, why? She just was terribly miscast. And I'm like, I think that's on my friend. Well, could it have been on my friend for not accepting Jennifer Lawrence in any other type of role?
Yeah. And
then a heroine.
There's always that aspect too, because especially for film, but I'd say even for stage, you come in with certain expectations.
Sure.
And the audience has expectations. The filmmaker has expectations.
Sure.
The actor has their own set of experiences that they bring to a role.
Yeah.
And so like that's why people get typecast.
Yeah.
For example, like Marilyn Monroe, one of her big struggles was she felt like she was typecast
as
into the blonde bombshell, kind of vampy and dumb. And she wanted desperately to break out of it. And she seemed like a really sensitive, intelligent performer who was dealing with other stuff, a not so happy childhood.
I have not seen this movie, The Last Showgirl, with Pamela Anderson.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great example of someone who has a well-established star persona.
Of us doing only certain kinds.
Opposite from it, right? So that film, which is really good, I highly recommend. The Last Showgirl. Pam Anderson is great in it. Jamie Lee Curtis is also great in it. And it's got a good supporting cast across the board. But Pam Anderson, who developed this star persona in the 90s,
Yeah.
that had some shared DNA with Marilyn Monroe.
I think she would love to hear that. Or would have back then.
Yeah. And kind of found herself pigeonholed
Yes.
into that kind of role.
The
film,
giant fake boobs sort of helped to pigeonhole her. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I don't know.
No,
I don't know enough about the
I know I
motivation.
sound all like, but come on, they helped to pigeonhole her. Okay.
Pigeon boobed.
Pigeon boobed. Absolutely.
But that film, The Last Showgirl, she gets to take that star persona because she's playing a buxom, aging showgirl at a Las Vegas,
Yeah.
kind of risque. What do you call that?
Strip club? Burlesque?
Burlesque. Not quite stripping, but burlesque.
Burlesque, yeah.
She gets to play into her existing star persona, but she also gets to play against it. Because you get the full view of what the rest of her life looks like.
She did a good job.
She did a great
I'm
job.
happy to hear that.
Yeah. She may not have gotten an Oscar nomination, but it's a good performance nonetheless.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the audience expectation thing is kind of an interesting aspect of acting.
Yeah.
Because it can also affect the roles that actors go out for. Mm-hmm. Like you constantly see actors who are trying to work against it. Mm-hmm. Even Emma Stone, I think has been very successful at it, because early in her career she was known as like kind of the red-headed, sarcastic,
right,
best friend / love interest. She did a lot of romantic comedies. Mm-hmm. And then in the last decade, she's done some really interesting stuff that gets her out of that. Mm-hmm. She still tends to do a lot of comedies, but they're always weird and interesting. Yeah. Her collaborations with the Greek director Yorgos Lanthimos are really great at busting through that persona.
What else has she been in other movies by him?
She did The Favorite, the one that's about a British queen. I don't remember which queen it was, but where she
with Rachel Weisz
and
Olivia Colman. I saw that.
Yeah.
Wow, that was disturbing. Wow,
yeah.
that was a hard movie. It was a good movie. It was a hard movie to watch. Mm-hmm. But it was nice to see 3 leading ladies who are really good.
Yes.
Yeah. I adore Olivia Colman.
Yeah, same. And Olivia Colman has also done a lot of work with that director. She was also in The Lobster, which also had Rachel Weisz. This is an example of a director who uses the same actors.
Okay,
over and
I
over
saw
again.
The Lobster.
Yeah.
And it was hailed as a comedy. And I was in the mood for a comedy. I needed to laugh, and that was not a comedy. Oh my God. Anyway, you also have to know what you're getting into for movies.
Yeah. I would say The Lobster is, it's not a ha-ha comedy.
Oh, it's not a comedy at all. It was tragic. There was a lot of bizarre things going on where you could go, oh, that's interesting and really weird. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's a comedy in the surreal, like,
okay, if you say so, Wallace.
Taking American, not just American, but just like taking human tropes to their extreme.
Okay. Maybe I could watch it again knowing better what I was in for.
Knowing it's not a funny ha-ha funny.
It is not, it's barely funny. I've walked away from that feeling, oh my God.
I am so sorry. I cannot imagine going into The Lobster expecting a laugh riot comedy and getting that.
I think sometimes
it's so deadpan and just like really awkward people behaving badly.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Which The Favorite is, all of his movies have a little bit of that to them. It's like humans behaving awkwardly.
Yeah.
And lashing out in because of their discomfort with the world and the society that they're in.
Yeah. Boy, the one image that sticks in my head is, I guess it was Emma Stone's character is massaging the Queen's swollen legs.
Yeah.
It was so poignant, and you knew Emma's part was not because she loved this woman, but for political reasons. I mean, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful to see three wonderful actresses. I like Laura Dern too. She's had some very interesting roles, and I like seeing her on stage.
She's worked a lot with David Lynch. May he rest in peace.
Yeah. Okay.
And Wild at Heart, and what was the one with all the rabbits? Inland Empire.
Okay.
Inland Empire. He puts her through her paces in Inland Empire.
Okay.
Have you not seen that?
Inland Empire. Okay.
Yeah.
By David Lynch.
That is a surreal film.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your favorite Laura Dern?
I think it was, what would you say, Wild
at Heart.
And that was many years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was like early 90s.
And she was just a lovely, happy, over-sexualized young woman. Was that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then what did she played a psychiatrist or psychologist, and I can't remember if it was a movie or a series. Gosh, and she was so loving and so this. Or was it a lawyer?
The HBO show where she plays like a healer or something?
Something.
Oh, yes. I remember this.
I can't remember the show.
It was all about woo-woo, like health.
Okay. And was she a lawyer or was she a healer?
No.
Or a psychiatrist?
I'm sure she played a lawyer in Marriage Story.
Ah!
But she also played like a psychologist woo-woo person in this other HBO show.
All right, you know what? I might be thinking of Marriage Story.
Oh, Marriage Story, she plays a divorce lawyer, and she's great in it.
Yes.
Yeah, the Noah Baumbach movie.
Okay. Yeah. That was an interesting movie.
Enlightened is the name of the show that I'm thinking of.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I didn't see that. I'm thinking of the other one where she was like a woo-woo lawyer who then got hard ass.
Yep. Yeah, she was the lawyer representing Scarlett Johansson in that movie. Yeah. And she's really good in it.
Yeah.
But if you like Laura Dern, I would recommend Enlightened.
Okay.
An ambitious corporate executive, after a series of self-destructive choices lead to a very public, humiliating, nervous breakdown, Amy spends 3 months at a treatment center in Hawaii where she learns to live an enlightened existence. And then she goes on from there. Okay. But that, I thought that was what you were referring to, where it's very much like it's about woo-woo, self-care, and all that. It's a satire of that culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking the lawyer was very much solicitous and tea and this and that. And
she was very empathetic, but when it came time for the negotiation, it was like a light switch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think she really enjoys. I think all these actors enjoy what they're doing, but I feel like I could see it with Laura Dern. She has fun.
Yeah. Well, she's also I believe she was the president of SAG for a couple of years.
Was she really?
So she's not only on, the artistic side, but she's involved in the business side.
Good for her.
Yeah, like she was helping to organize some of the efforts to increase pay for people in SAG. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Well, what else should we talk about? I see our character.
Well, and you should recognize this set.
Oh, I definitely recognize the set. Yes.
Which I've used a couple times in different VidJam 48-hour film competition things. Mm-hmm. this was the scene where you and Lind had your
Yes.
had your psychic reading.
That's right.
For Return to Me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
dressed a little bit differently.
There were candles.
And there were candles.
Yeah.
Yep. So we set up this backdrop for Return to Me, and I just left it up because
It's very homey.
Sure, I'll say that. It's homey. It's not because I'm lazy. It's because it's so
It
homey.
works. Yes. It's so comfy, cozy.
And then I used it again for The Wager.
Mm-hmm.
It was the psychologist's office that Erica.
That's right.
Yeah, Erica was the psychologist, and your husband Stephen was the wayward Job of that story, seeking comfort. Yeah. And this right here is our friend from The Wager. This was the prop that we had to use.
And what's the real name of the critter? We were calling him Beelzebub, Beetlejuice, but he has a real name that somebody looked up.
Well, this one doesn't quite fit any of them.
Okay.
But I think, what were we thinking of? It was the demon.
Yeah, some demon. Yeah.
Anyway, it's a demon. I can't think of what I'm actually... Yeah, we'll show the audience.
Yes.
This is the demon from The Wager. Yeah. We do have fun.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
It's I didn't go to my 50th high school reunion because I had just been up in the area, and it's such a trek going.
You're from
up
out
there.
in the Erie area, and
Yes.
that's a good drive.
It's a good drive. So I'm talking to this guy I graduated from high school with, and I said, look, I'm going to send you one of the videos I did. So this is what I've been doing, because he was asking, since you retired, what are you doing? I'm just having a good time. And I said, I'm at the age where I don't care so much what people think of me. I'm just here for a good time. So I sent them the one that you shot and Josh wrote, where Carol tortured me in the basement.
Oh, yeah.
We had fake blood. I'm tied to a chair, and then
Hacktress.
The actress. And then she sticks the ball cock in my mouth. And I thought, these people I graduated with get a big kick out of this, if any of them even watched it. But I sent that along just because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's, who said what? Many people said variations. I'm not here for a long time, but I'm here to have fun.
I'm here for a good time.
I'm here for a good time. I don't know. That hasn't really been my motto throughout my life. But now that I just turned 70, I think this last little bit can be having a good time and not doing any damage.
Well, yeah.
To anybody or anybody I love, or yes.
But life is too short not to have a good time.
It is.
Well, and you're getting... Well, why don't you plug your acting classes?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I partnered with my friend Janet Bixler, and we are teaching...
Janet Bixler, who is absolutely lovely.
I
give her a great big hug every time I see her.
Oh, yeah, she's good. We taught a scene study class. We're in the middle of teaching our second monologue class. And then this is mostly her thing. I'm going to be listening. I'll be helping, but she's really been trained in this technique. It's building moments beat by beat. That's coming up the end of March. I didn't want to read the whole thing, so instead I'll just do it poorly. You'll allow yourself the freedom to play, discover, and create. That's the name
I'll
of
drop
the
a
company.
link in the description on
Okay,
YouTube.
cool.
And in the description on the podcast platforms.
Okay.
And otherwise, you can probably just search for Lisa Lutton Weitzman.
Yeah.
And find the class too.
I hope so. Yes. Anyway, I taught children and teens for so many years. It's really fun to teach adults. Yeah. and they're having a good time, and they're having eye-opening moments, which is awesome, which every teacher loves when their students like have a revelation. You're like, oh. There's a vocal warm-up I do with my acting students.
Oh.
And it's allegedly a radio test that was created in the 30s, and allegedly it uses all the sounds of the English language. I don't know if that's true or not.
Let's do it.
So I don't want to start rumors that aren't true, so I'm saying that up front, but
it's a podcast. No one checks facts on a podcast.
But you kind of build it, like you go, one hen, 2 ducks, 1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese, 1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese, 4 limerick oysters. It goes all the way up to 10. And the idea is you gradually build up your vocal capacity, lung-wise. You build that up, learn how to take a lot of air in and meet it out a little at a time. If you ever want to do Shakespeare or something with a lot of verse, and say you're outside at the Renaissance Fair, you want to be able to project. So it's a good vocal exercise for breath control and for articulation.
Wow. Let's try it. So what is 1 hen?
Okay, so do you want to repeat after me?
Yeah.
This might take a while, but
okay.
you can edit it. Okay. 1 hen.
1 hen.
1 hen, 2 ducks.
1 hen, 2 ducks.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese, 4 limerick oysters.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese, 4 limerick oysters.
Good. And at this point,
So should I be saying this all in the same breath?
Yes, at this point, that's when I share that with you. So now the ultimate goal after a few weeks is to be able to say all the way. I could only finish 9 on one breath. I don't know if I could do that anymore. But having said that, you kind of, at about now, before 5, I say, okay, now I'm going to start paying attention to breath control. Okay, so I'm going to exhale, and then I'm going to inhale. Feel the bottom, middle, and top part. Get a nice. Okay. 1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese, 4 limerick oysters, 5 corpulent porpoises.
All right.
I'll say it with you. When you start to lose it, I'll say it with you. Okay, so exhale. Now inhale. Bottom, middle, top. 1 hen.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking oysters, 4 limerick ducks, 5
That's not bad.
Porpoises.
Squawking porpoises. Yes, I love it. All right, we'll say it with you next time.
Okay.
It's 5 corpulent porpoises.
Corpulent porpoises.
So just imagine fat porpoises.
Very
I guess.
fat
Very
porpoises.
fat porpoises, and I think it's the ducks that are squawking. Geez, try to say something out of order. It's a little different. All right, okay, so I'm going to exhale. Inhale. 1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese, 4 limerick oysters, 5 corpulent porpoises, 6 pair of Don Alvaro's tweezers. 6 pair of Don Alvaro's tweezers. There's different versions floating around on the internet that are slightly different. One I found was Alvaro's, and one was Alvarzo's. Who cares?
Which we just ate at Alvaro's.
We just had a delicious breakfast sandwich at Alvaro's. I love their fluffy eggs. And, of course, the capicola was delish. Shout out to Alvaro's.
Alvaro's?
Alvaro's.
Or Alvaro's.
Yeah.
Either way you pronounce it, it's wonderful. Harrisburg institution.
Yes.
Family Italian bakery and restaurant.
The real deal. The real deal.
Or try it one more time. All right.
Do you want me to go with you or no?
Step in if I go way off course.
Okay. Okay.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese, 4 limerick ducks, limerick oysters, 5 corpulent porpoises, and 6 of Dr. Alvaro's sunglasses.
Sunglasses, yes, I love it. That should be it from now on. Dr. Alvaro's.
Oh gosh, this is why I'm not in front of the camera.
No, actually, you're doing really well. It takes a while. All right, do you want, I'm going to, just for fun, I'm going to see if I can go up to 9.
Let's do it. Let's see it happen.
All right, I'm going to sit up tall so I have room
Suck
in my
that
lungs.
breath.
Yeah, for breath. If I'm slouched, that's, you can't fill your lungs if you're slouched. Okay, so I'm going to exhale. Inhale. 1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese, 4 limerick oysters, 5 corpulent porpoises, 6 pair of Donald Varzo's tweezers, 7,000 Macedonians dressed in full battle array, 8 brass monkeys from the ancient sacred crypts of Egypt, 9 apathetic, sympathetic, diabetic old men on roller skates with a marked propensity towards sloth and procrastination. I took a tiny breath before sloth.
That was lovely.
Oh, gosh,
Oh,
thanks.
I love it. Maestra.
I wouldn't go that far, but thank you. Yes. Yeah, so that's a breath exercise we do.
I love it. When I first met you, a friend of mine had encouraged me to try improv comedy.
Okay.
And I remember doing it and being like, I don't know if this is for me. Mm-hmm. But just the act of trying something completely different.
Yes.
It just jogged something loose.
Yeah.
And it's a great way, all of this is a great way to just take all of the slings and arrows that you deal with on a day-to-day basis and just set them aside for a couple hours.
Oh my God, it's better than therapy.
Yeah.
Sorry, psychiatrists.
I mean, I'd say for those who need it, y'all need to stick with your therapist.
Yes, do that.
Take care of yourself.
But also take an improv class.
Or an acting class. Try something new.
Right.
We're only on this earth for so long. We have to have fun.
Yeah, and it's thrilling. It's terrifying for those of you who seek those kind of experiences, terrifying experiences, but it's so gratifying, and you make such good friends because you go through all this crazy stuff together, and it's like, oh man, that was awesome, or oh man, we sucked tonight. Yeah, we did, but there's always next week,
I can't tell you how many weird scenes we've been in together on the improv stage.
Yes. Things that you would never create on your own.
Yes.
You'd never come up with them on your own, but you keep building with somebody, and it goes off.
And the combination of your two brains.
Yeah.
It leads in a third direction that neither of you could predict.
And I think that's scripted work has other wonderful, brilliant things, but right now at this point in my life, that's what excites me.
Yeah.
And doing the actual creation with somebody
Yeah.
on the spot while you're being observed.
So, yeah, I would say, especially now, when people are feeling the pressures of just life and all the stuff happening in the world, it's a good time to try something new. It's a good time to put yourself out there.
Should send this to
and
Jake.
be willing to act a fool.
Yes, be willing to act the fool.
Yeah.
Well, even Glenn Close, the famous, wonderful actress, she said something, it's in one of my history books, like, to be a great actor, you have to be willing to make an ass of yourself. So, again, I'm paraphrasing, but she used the ass word. Did you remember that?
Yeah. Well, any final thoughts? I think that was a pretty good final thought.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be willing to make an ass of yourself out
It's
there.
very freeing.
So check us out. If you don't like the YouTube, watching us on YouTube, check
you
us
could draw
out.
mustaches on us.
Yeah.
Freeze the screen of your television. And
Do that. Take this content and use it how you want to. You can also check us out on all of the podcast platforms, so Apple, Spotify, you name it. I'm not good at ending things.
we don't have to end this.
We can continue forever.
Continue forever until we get hungry. I have to go downstairs. Well, this has been a pleasure, Wally.
We'll leave the camera rolling as we go eat.
Yeah, right. Yeah. This has been very fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
And be kind to each other.
Yes.